Tourist towns are an integral part of America's history and development process. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about with wax museums and go-karts and other economically focused activities. This is an idea seen throughout the country, but it's fascinating to explore the similarities because all of the largest in the country, from Pigeon Forge in Tennessee to Branson, Missouri, have a recipe of how to create the most successful tourist town. But that leads you searching for uniqueness and how to do it in the best way possible, which brings us to the topic of today's video.
I'm here in Estes Park, Colorado, one of the best tourist towns in the U.S.
I recently visited the city to find out more about it, so today I'm going to talk about what sets this city apart and why it's put itself in a perfect situation to be successful. Before the video starts though, it would mean a lot if you'd consider subscribing to the channel. We make geography content like this every week, and I'm really trying to grow the channel and get new people interested in these topics. So it would mean a lot if you'd click the subscribe button down below. Thank you. So as I said about the recipe for a perfect tourist town, there's one main thing that you notice, which is these cities being tied in with a beautiful recreational location. This brings us back to likely the most popular tourist town or towns in America, Pigeon Forge and Gatlinburg. These communities perfectly take advantage of the entrance into Great Smoky Mountains National Park, the most popular park in the entire country. It's one of the best areas that the eastern US has to offer, so there's a massive area from Nashville, Atlanta, and Charlotte outwards that really sees the Smokies as the place to go. Asheville sees the impact of the park on the other side, but Pigeon Forge is as tourist trappy as you're gonna get, with the Great Smoky Mountain Parkway running down the middle past constant tourism. They simply take advantage of a large park that is already driving tourism. And these places just get into your brain. I almost bought a hermit crab last time I was there, which is very out of character for me. Staying on specifically national parks, you see it in Maine as well with Bar Harbor. I mean, this place is in the middle of nowhere, but since it's right next to the 7th most visited national park in the nation, Acadia, the entrance leads you through the town. So people are already in a money-spending mood, and they find this beautiful little town with a pretty main street and some darn good lobster. One more is Moab, Utah, which is centered right in Red Rock Country near Arches and Canyonlands National Park. And they got me on this because I'm going there next week, and who wouldn't want to? It's beautiful. But this leads us back to Estes Park, because it likely takes advantage of this better than anyone, with its placement directly at the eastern entrance of Rocky Mountain National Park. You basically have to drive through the town to get there, and Rocky Mountain is the 5th most visited national park in the country, with beautiful mountains rising above the tree line and meadows down below. Wildlife everywhere, and really nice hikes. So let's get into the specifics of this town to see how we got here. It's located in Estes Valley, an open area within the mountains around 50 miles northwest of Denver and 27 miles northwest of Boulder. The valley's actually pretty large, allowing for quite a bit of development within the area, whether that be in the downtown or down south of the main city all the way to Lily Lake. And this valley is how it got the name Estes Park, since a park is traditionally a higher elevation valley in the Rockies fully surrounded by mountains. Think South Park, where that one show was placed. It's been known as a beautiful location since then, and early tourism was seen in the 1800s. Things started to kick off in the 1900s though, when people began realizing the importance of the natural environment, and these mountains became a place of focus. It then caught its first big break with the building of a massive and luxurious Stanley Hotel on the north side of the town. It was placed on a hill and brought rich new landowners to the area. You may know the Stanley Hotel as the place where The Shining was filmed and inspired when Stephen King visited the building. And a lot of it is just movie-oriented tours, and that alone can bring people to the area, being a big pull for Estes Park. So then Rocky Mountain National Park was established in 1915, which immediately brought tourism to the area. And Estes Park was known as the Gateway Community. The attachment to the national park is shown by Estes Parks Incorporation in 1917, 2 years later, and from there things got crazy. Trail Ridge Road was then built in the 1930s, which includes US 34 over the mountain. But this time period also saw US 34 and 36 be built to connect to Estes Park, which proves important. Finally, it's necessary to mention the Long Lake Dam failure, which occurred in 1982, killing 3 people and destroying much of the downtown Estes Park. It had to go through a large renewal project, gaining the nickname of the gutsiest little town in Colorado. This ended up giving the town a unique opportunity, though, to use the more modern urban planning tactics to create a culture and community that was successful, bringing us to present day. So what's so perfect about Estes Park, making it one of the best tourist towns in America? Well, of course we know it's placed outside of a popular national park, and this has been its main pull for tourism. We have to remember it's just an hour and a half from downtown Denver, and overall is a short enough drive that it's become a popular day trip destination for residents of the Front Range. The drive isn't difficult, and nearly every visitor of the national park comes from the east side rather than the west side, which would bring you to Granby, a significantly less populous area. I also found much more authenticity in Estes Park than somewhere like Pigeon Forge, and it's less specifically car-oriented and more towards outdoorsy people that aren't simply here to spend money. The downtown area sees Elkhorn Avenue, the main street, pass directly past small businesses in the area and the Big Thompson River, which is where most things are centered. There's elk all over town, and I couldn't even get down US 34 towards Rocky Mountain without seeing some on the hills. And you can also see some along Lake Estes to the east of the main street. Continuing on the pedestrian friendliness, this is extremely valuable since nearly all of the tourism comes from cars. Each intersection has X-shaped crosswalks, as well as your normal rectangular, and the entire intersection will stop for a bit pretty much every minute to let people cross the road. They have multiple signalized crosswalks that will go to a red light, which I found super useful for crossing the busy street. One of my favorite things is the visitor center parking garage located just a few thousand feet away from the downtown, where you can park for free and either take the trolley into the downtown, which I love, or walk the Riverwalk trail straight there. The Riverwalk is awesome, with businesses focusing a small space on the walkers, and it's tucked perfectly along for a relaxed vibe that only involves tourism if you want it to. They know their strengths with the river and they stick to it. Zooming back out, there's not many tourist towns that have valuable through traffic, but Estes Park does it perfectly with US 34 and US 36 connecting in the town and going over the Continental Divide in the west, connecting to much of the northern Colorado Rockies. But a lot of this connectedness does lead to a bit of overcrowdedness, which brings up a very valuable question of where you balance tourism and the natural environment. Where is that line? There's a lack of parking, which I didn't personally deal with, but in the summer months it can get bad. And the intersection between US 34 and 36 can get backed up at any day and time. The parking problem is partially solved by the free parking garage, but you can easily fill up the town with large concrete lots oriented towards cars if you wanted to. But I do think they find a very good balance of focusing the parking on the east side of the downtown, rather than in that western part that gets a bit more hilly. You just have to be a bit afraid of more apartments and sprawl popping up closer to the mountains. Remember I mentioned the elk? We gotta think about habitat fragmentation and stuff. And sorry if you don't want to, but the community is right outside a national park, so that's what it's gonna be. But that's Estes Park. I found it to be a great balance between tourism and recreation, keeping a small town vibe while attracting over 7 million visitors every single year. The tourist attractions are hidden, and everyone knows the main selling points are the absolutely beautiful Rocky Mountain peaks, calling people into the mountains. Oh, also I forgot it rains every single day ever, so don't let your tent flood. Thanks for watching. Thank you to the members this week: James Cermak, Rob R, Big Pasty, Jameson Headley, Colonel Potter, Eric Hare, Sir JC17, Jerome McCall, The Baked Fruit, Andres Quintero, Jesse Cook, Lufty Harshkin, J. Enrico, The Autistic City Skylines Fan, Richard Law, Alexander Lichko, Lauren Halliday, Charles Watson, Aiden Kyles, The Happy Hodag, Grant Dickerson, Midwest Rail Fan, DS, Richard Howell, Mick Kastner, D, Stephen Phillips, CJ Brick, Resident Contrarian, Haza the Wolf, Bunny, Brock Sanders, Stephen Priestman, SB Wilder, Florida Jake, Sir JC17, Alex Williams, Mickey Martinoff, Kurt Ainsley, KMS162, Bryson, Rosebud 4, Duckbird, Wolfling73, Snyder Schwein, Benjamin Whitings, and Ryan Devins. I appreciate you all so much. I have a City Skylines videos that I still upload every once in a while, and all of that is members only, so if you're interested in watching that face cam series, this is how to do it. It's also a really easy way to just help me out. All the money goes straight into my savings, so I promise it's being used for a good cause right in my future. Thank you.